There's one SpongeBob episode that stands out, not because it was funny, not because it was silly, but because it actually creeped people out, and not just as kids. Even now, years later, fans still talk about it with a weird mix of nostalgia and chills. You already know the one. Graveyard Shift. It aired like any other episode. Smiling Sponge, dumb jokes, Krabby Patties. But something about it felt off. The vibe, the pacing, the ending, it stuck with you in a way cartoons usually don't. Today, we're breaking down why. Not just what made it scary, but how this one 11-minute story broke the SpongeBob formula, dived straight into horror, and created the most unsettling moment in Bikini Bottom history. Stay with us as we dive deep into the mystery, the fear, and the final answer behind SpongeBob's scariest episode ever, finally solved. Let's rewind. Graveyard Shift first aired on September 6, 2002. At first, it's classic SpongeBob goofy, light and innocent. The Krusty Krab gets an order to stay open 24 hours, and of course, Mr. Krabs jumps at the idea, leaving SpongeBob and Squidward stuck on the graveyard shift. So far, nothing seems out of place. But as the hours pass, the tone subtly shifts. The restaurant feels darker. The background music fades. The atmosphere starts pressing down, and that lighthearted tone begins to rot from the inside. Bored and irritated, Squidward invents a ghost story to spook SpongeBob, the tale of the hash-slinging slasher. According to him, it's the ghost of a fry cook who died on the job and now returns every Tuesday night, flipping burgers from the afterlife. Squidward plays it off like a joke, but things quickly escalate. The lights begin flickering, the phone rings with no one on the other end. A shadow appears outside. Everything Squidward made up? It starts happening, beat for beat. Suddenly, the line between prank and reality blurs fast. What makes this episode so unsettling isn't just the story, it's the execution. Most SpongeBob episodes thrive on chaos, brightness, and rapid-fire jokes, but Graveyard Shift slows everything down. The Krusty Krab, usually vibrant, becomes claustrophobic. The colors dim, shadows take over. There's silence, real silence, which in SpongeBob is practically unheard of. The humor takes a back seat. SpongeBob isn't bouncing off the walls, he's frozen, listening, reacting. The ambient sounds, fridge hums, buzzing lights, become a low, eerie drone that raises your anxiety without you realizing why. It plays out like a horror short hiding in a cartoon. And the slasher? Ridiculous on paper, a ghost with a spatula hand. But the way Squidward tells the story is pure tension. Monotone delivery, no music, and a single swaying bulb casting shadows. It's not loud or in your face, it's quiet, controlled, and weirdly effective. By the time all the fake signs start becoming real, you're locked in. It's no longer funny, it's unnerving. When the slasher's silhouette finally appears in the window, your brain doesn't laugh, it tenses up. Not because of jump scares or gore, but because the episode earned your fear through restraint and pacing. And that's the magic of Graveyard Shift. It lures you in with comedy, then quietly turns into something else. Something that sticks with you, something that still has people calling it the creepiest SpongeBob episode of all time. The figure in the fog. The glowing red eyes. That slow, creeping walk to the door. For a second, you're not watching SpongeBob anymore. You're frozen, because something about this moment breaks the rules. The usually goofy, safe world of Bikini Bottom suddenly tilts into straight-up horror. Then comes the twist. The hash-slinging slasher turns out to be a nervous guy just looking for a job. It's silly, it's harmless, and it's a joke that lands like a sigh of relief. But then, bam, one last scare. The walls begin to drip, the lights flicker, and Nosferatu, out of nowhere, is standing there silently flipping the light switch. No setup, no logic, just a hard cut to something that feels like a glitch in the cartoon's reality. That jump cut isn't played for laughs. It's meant to throw you off balance, and it does. That's the genius of Graveyard Shift. It's not just a SpongeBob episode, it's a compact horror short hidden in plain sight. It borrows every classic trope from slasher films and wraps it in kid-friendly animation. Think about it. The setting? A dark, locked-down Krusty Krab, isolated and eerie. The characters, one skeptic, one believer, Squidward and SpongeBob perfectly play the classic horror dynamic. The legend? A ridiculous urban myth that suddenly begins to look real. And then escalation. Each creepy sign matches the story Squidward told. Lights flickering, phones ringing, the shadowy figure approaching. Everything builds until the killer appears. And just when the story should wrap up, it lingers. That Nosferatu moment? It's not random. It's a meta-horror punchline. A reference to a 1922 silent horror film. The fact that it comes with no context makes it even more unsettling. 1 second you're laughing, the next you're staring at a grainy vampire from a century-old movie, and somehow, it works. The brilliance is in how the episode lures you in. You think you're watching something safe, and then it tilts. It slows down, tightens the frame, and leans into dread instead of jokes. And here's the craziest part. Nickelodeon didn't promote this as a Halloween special. It didn't air in October. There was no spooky branding. It aired as just another random Season 2 episode. No warning, no build-up. Behind the scenes, this was Hillenburg's team at their most creative. Writers like Aaron Springer and C.H. Greenblatt loved to push tone shifts and sneak in absurd, eerie beats. According to interviews, the Nosferatu gag wasn't even in the script. It was added in the edit room last minute. Someone found the clip in public domain, dropped it in, and somehow it landed like a horror uppercut. And that's why Graveyard Shift lives on. It didn't just play with fear, it rewrote the rules of what a SpongeBob episode could be. Nickelodeon never leaned into the weirdness. They didn't market Graveyard Shift as anything special, never explained the Nosferatu gag, and definitely never tried to recreate the episode's eerie tone. And maybe that's exactly why it worked. Since the episode aired, fans have filled the internet with theories, some clever, some completely off the rails, but they all orbit the same core question. What actually happened that night at the Krusty Krab? Let's run through a few. 1. The hashslinging slasher was real, just misunderstood. Some believe the guy at the end was the slasher. Not a ghost, but a mentally unstable ex-employee. Dirty clothes, glowing eyes, arrives exactly when Squidward predicted. The job application? A cover story. He's reliving trauma. Dark? Yeah, but oddly fitting. 2. Squidward accidentally summoned something. Here's the paranormal angle. By telling the story, Squidward manifested it. Think Bloody Mary rules. Say the legend and it comes true. Every creepy moment, the phone calls, the bus, the lights, was triggered by his own words. Nosferatu. A glitch left behind after the entity left. 3. It all happened inside SpongeBob's head. Some fans argue the back half of the episode is just SpongeBob hallucinating. He's sleep-deprived, scared, and on his first night shift. All the tension? fabricated by his overactive brain. Honestly, it tracks. 4. Nosferatu lives in Bikini Bottom. Yup. Some fans think he's literally canon, a resident lurking in the shadows who messes with lights for fun. No deeper meaning, just he's there, deal with it. All these theories exist because Graveyard Shift never tells you what's real. It ends on a joke, but the unease never quite fades. So what was the creative team actually doing? Simple, a bait and switch, but with intent. According to storyboards and interviews, especially from C.H. Greenblatt, the team wanted to push boundaries. They'd nailed the comedy formula, but wanted to shake it up. The idea? Keep the audience off balance. Instead of going full horror, no gore, no jump scares, they leaned into atmosphere. Dim lighting, empty space, uncomfortable silences, pacing that dragged just a little too long. The goal was to make you laugh, and then suddenly feel something crawl up your spine. The Nosferatu moment? Not about logic. It was pure tone disruption. 1 second you're laughing, the next you're staring at a black and white vampire with no context. Steven Hillenburg signed off on all of it, which means this wasn't a one-off gag. It was a deliberate experiment, a calculated risk. And it worked. Graveyard Shift proves something few kid shows dare to test, that sometimes the best way to keep your audience engaged is to make them just a little uncomfortable. They weren't trying to traumatize anyone. They were just testing the edges of what SpongeBob could be, and they nailed it. The genius of Graveyard Shift isn't in the plot. It's in the feeling. This episode doesn't scare you with gore or monsters. It unsettles you. The pacing slows, the laughter fades, the music disappears. Suddenly, you're sitting in a place that feels off. That wrongness, it lingers. There's a term for it: cognitive dissonance. Your brain expects something cheerful and goofy, but gets something quiet and eerie instead. That clash creates tension, and tension feeds fear. It's why the slasher's silhouette sticks in your mind, why Nosferatu's 1-second cameo still makes people uncomfortable. It wasn't the plot or animation, it was the way the episode broke the rules. No over-the-top punchline to let you off the hook, just atmosphere, silence, and shadow. Even now, grown adults still talk about Graveyard Shift. Not because it was the scariest cartoon ever, but because it shouldn't have worked. And yet it did. It reached into that weird corner of your brain where fear and humor mix, and left its mark. That's not just clever, that's storytelling with precision. So if you've ever wondered why this strange little SpongeBob episode stayed with you for 2 decades, now you know. If this breakdown gave you chills, or even just made you rethink cartoons a little, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. We've got more deep dives coming your way. Because sometimes the scariest stories are the ones hiding in plain sight.